Good morning. We are down here by the little pond. I wanted to see if we could find any animals, but no. It's been a really pleasant, cloudy, overcast day. The sun is, of course, out. It's still very early. I don't even know if it's 8 o'clock yet. But I felt like taking a walk, and I wanted to talk about something that's important to me. And we'll get to that in a minute. But this is just a wonderful little place. I like this little pond. There are little fishes in it, and sometimes you can find turtles and frogs and stuff here. But whenever I come over here, unfortunately, the path to get in here is full of gravel. So I make a lot of noise when I come in, and a lot of the things run into hiding. So let's see if we can... Oh, yeah, there was a little frog. You could see it jump. I don't know if you could see it in the capture or not. But there's a little frog, maybe this big, that just jumped into the water. But anyway, we're going to take a walk, and thankfully, I've had my blast shield up most of the morning because of the beautiful clouds. So I just wanted to talk about nature stuff today, and the nature of man specifically, and how we've lost our way, and why everything, in my opinion, has become the cancer that it has. And I think I'm going to leave you with some wisdom of what to do about it. When you think about the problems of modernity, especially if you follow me, we talk about things in a way that gives it labels and names and narratives. Of course, you know, I use the go free method, so I say anti-whiteism, anti-white narrative, etc. We focus on race and what's being done to us, and we put things like, you know, the feminisms and the transgenderisms and stuff, we put that under the banner of anti-whiteism. But I want to talk to you today about a bigger why. And I think that's because the people who lead us are no longer feel confined or driven by the inescapable natural order. And this is not about left or right. This is not about white or non-white. This is not about progressive versus traditional. This is an assessment, a read, so to speak, of everyone who runs corporations and governments and media and people who actually control and shape cultural movements, civilization, civics, that kind of thing. Recently at the Tennessee event, I'm going to try to walk into the woods here. We're going to see how thick it is. Let's see. Ooh, it is quite thick. Oh, here, we can get in this way. Let's walk in here. Maybe we'll find a fox or a snake or something. Let's see what we got in here. Anybody in here today? No, I'm not seeing any creatures. Well, this is a nice sort of chill, wooded, wet area. So we've got to watch out for things like, snakes, places you can twist your ankle, that kind of thing. Okay, here we go. This is nice. Let's go over here. This looks like a nice open spot where we can sort of talk. Maybe further up this way. This is pretty uneven footing here. This looks a little flatter up there. You guys didn't know you were going to go on a little nature adventure with me today, did you? Okay. All right, I'm liking the way this looks over here. We're going to stay up here. It's got plenty of open places for me to stand and walk. This is good. Okay. So, now that we're here in the woods and we have a little privacy, oh hey, there's even a... It's like God Himself said, "Here, Yizz, have some light for your video." There's some light coming in through a little hole in the trees and a little hole in the leaves up there. I'm gonna stand here. Anyway, it's real pretty here. I like this little lot. It hasn't been bulldozed or tilled in a lot of years. So you've got trees that are 20 and 30 years old here. It's nice. Anyway, we have lost our way because the natural order is not observed by people who control everything. And what do I mean by that? Recently at the Tennessee event, I told a story that was a heartbreaking story about me being a little kid. I was either 5 or 6. I think I hadn't turned 6 yet, but my memory's a little spotty. But there was a fox that I loved. We have red-tailed foxes around here. They're cute. I love them, but as an adult, you know that foxes, they're not good to have around a farm or a farmhouse, especially if you have little kids. So my father, he made me shoot and kill a little fox that I loved. And I cried when I did it, and he made me shoot it. And then, like always, you go and you inspect your kill, and he walked me up to the animal, and he said a prayer with me. He was very Christian, and he let me know that sometimes things have to be killed for more important things to live. He talked to me about the farm animals needing to be killed so we can eat. He said that the fox will steal eggs and kill chickens. And it could even kill the dog that we loved. We had a little dog when I was a kid. And it was a wiener dog. I love dachshunds. They're just wonderful. But anyway, he made a point that it could kill our dog. It would come into our property. It could kill ours or the neighbor's chickens, steal the eggs, and then we wouldn't have food to eat. And he made a really good point to me. And I was mad and I hated him at the time. And I cried and threw a fit because, I was 5. But it only took about a week for that lesson to land. And then I was wiser and better for it. And so I think that when I step away from the culture war stuff and move away from terms like anti-whiteism or radical left or any of that stuff, when I just take a step back and I say, what the hell is wrong? What the hell is wrong? Why is all this happening? And I think it's because whether you believe it's Satan or whether you believe it's a supernatural force of entropy and evil, or it's just the darkness in the hearts of man, something has led to people who control money, finances, schools, business, science, to break from the natural order, from an understanding that they're part of a necessary cycle of life and death, and that the things that should be enshrined are things like loving your family and putting your kin first, having to kill the bad things so the things that you care about can live, knowing that you're fated to die. At best, you can hope for is being old and weak of body and mind, surrounded by loved ones who take care of you, at best. And I think that the severance from the natural order way of thinking is pretty much what's wrong in everything. Look at the technocratic globalists, right? You've got your people who just want to micromanage everything. Soros, Bill Gates, etc. You have these people who view humanity as not humans. They want to transcend death. They either think they are God or believe there is no God and they should be its surrogate. You've got these same people wanting to construct God, building AI, that will give orders to them. It's the strangest, darkest, sickest thing to read about these AI robots going to UN summit meetings. And I'm being bitten by mosquitoes here. This is probably not a good idea. But anyway, I don't know, maybe not mosquitoes, but there are little bugs landing on me. Anyway, so you have this darkness that has just infected everything at the top level. And I think it's because these people, these internationalist classes of people that don't really have a race or an ethnicity, these people that are married to the technocracy, these people who want to believe the fiction they grew up with is real. Things like cyberpunk fiction, Star Wars, Star Trek. They want that to be real, so they believe that they can make it real. And then now you have these people that are running companies. They work the government. They weren't raised like I was. They weren't raised like most people were raised, even aristocrats and elites hundreds of years ago. No, they don't view themselves as part of a natural life and death cycle where things like property rights, the right to association, worshiping God, having church, putting family, your own kin, and what matters to your family, your kin, and your community first. These are just alien concepts to them, and worse, a lot of them think they're evil concepts. They think that, oh, well, that's my far-right boogeyman stuff, or that's my white nationalist stuff, or that's just, and a lot of them are atheists, so they think, oh, that's just Christian bullshit. Like, that stuff needs to go. It's archaic and useless. Like, this is the mindset that most people who govern us, who run companies, who control banking, who control finances and stuff, this is the mindset that seemingly permeates all the leadership positions in Western civilization, maybe the whole world now. And so I don't think that there's any one reason for all of this. I think it's a lot of the reasons we talk about. You've got, going all the way back to the days of ethno-nationalist conflict in Europe, where our own people wanted to fight and kill each other. Then you've got, India and China and Russia and different kings and queens and despots and shit for all through the Middle East and North Africa. Then you've got South American stuff. There is, of course, war and conflict and slavery and darkness in man that has been around since before, the modern era, the last several hundred years. I know that. But at least the leaders seem to lean into the necessary things that regular folk like me and you, who are connected to real life and the natural order of things, they at least acknowledge that, because they grew up that way too. They knew they couldn't escape death. They knew that you had to, the serfs that you had on your land, you have to appease them. They have to at least feel like life is worth living, or they're not going to produce, and then your fiefdom sucks. So, like, my monarchy bros know this, and they talk about that sometimes. Not that I think we can ever make that again with what we have now, but that's an argument for a different time. So, we have today, we are led by evil people who are not in touch with reality and who don't even feel like they should be. They believe that they can transcend, ignore, or stamp out the natural order, or the law of God and man, or something like that. Like, whatever you want to call how things cosmically are, right? I like to say the great order, the divine order, the natural order, because that encompasses people's beliefs of different religions, and it also sounds scientific, because it is. Like, there's a reason why natural philosophers believed in God and believed in energies and things like that, because it made sense. When you study how things are and you study people, it just makes sense. So, you have the leaders of everything today almost universally rejecting even the notion that we are part of some order of life and death. And I think that is at the crux of why everything is so anti-white, so evil, so selfish, so out of touch with reality. And I think it's because you have millions and millions of people who have been raised apart from farming, apart from subsistence living, apart from having to face life and death from an early age, apart from having parents who knew to teach them those lessons. And so you have acres and acres of millennials and Gen Xers that think that Star Trek can be real, and that everything that isn't Star Trek is backwards and retarded and should be stamped out. And so, yeah, you can call that anti-white if you want, sure, but it's this odd civilizational thing that I've been noticing. And I think that there's probably something to that. Like, because, again, I'm not a historian, but I know that decadence always prefaces a fall of a great civilization or empire or whatever. I've listened to enough history chatter to know that. So maybe this is an issue that has cropped up before in great empires and great civilizations. I don't know. But I do know that everything that I can observe, from the top dogs like your Soroses and your World Economic Forums and your Bill Gateses and all that, to your functionaries like government agents and CIA ops people and the Mossad and the CCP and people that are doing all this mess, spying on each other, warring on each other and stuff. The people that control all of this crap, it's like they believe that they're going to live forever, mixed with they're going to die tomorrow, so they got to steal everything they can as fast as they can. So it's a mix of old evil and like a new kind of evil, a separation from the connection to anyone and anything. It's like peak super satanic psychosis, or psychotic murderous behavior. And that seems to be the defining trait of the people who rule us. And that's pretty scary. That's pretty dark. So, I promised you at the beginning of this video that I would offer at least some constructive criticism or things that you could do. And it's what we're doing, it's what I talk about on my channel all the time. Think about like the Mennonites and the Amish. They're healthy. They've got a culture. They've got their own identity. And I know that it would be easy for people with tanks and drones to go kill them, but they haven't yet. And I think that we can take I don't know, take some solace in knowing that people who are more connected to nature and who are farmers are very, very difficult to exterminate. We are very, very difficult to dislodge. Look at the mountain folk that couldn't be dislodged in Afghanistan after 20 years. Look at the farmers in South Africa, the Boers. Like, they're outnumbered, what, 40 to 1? And the detractors in government hate them and want to take their land and facilitate them being murdered, and they're still there, and they still have an identity. So, again, I'm white-pilled about things. And that's why I encourage as many people that will to at least build something parallel. I'm not saying go off the grid and make a farmstead and all that. That's not for everybody. But the people who care about this need to start networking up with other people who are of like mind. Creating businesses, creating homeschool groups, getting involved, or starting a new church that isn't paused and gay, right? We need to start building things that we can control that are for us. That's why I had Ernst Van Zyl on my channel months ago to talk about starting AfriForum, to talk about how to start from the ground up building networks of people who are dedicated, who care about people's farms, who care about people's kids, who care about doing what's right, who care about stopping anti-whiteism on the local level, who care about stopping crime on a local level, fixing things, bridges and fences and potholes and things. You need to be that person. You need to do that. I do that here where I live. My cousin does too. People that are active with communities around them, there's a strength there that money can't buy. There's a strength there that propaganda can't sully. So do that. Become active and involved. And again, if you are of the mind to farm and to build homestead and to have land and, have a base trad wife and raise 10 kids, do that for sure. If you are motivated to do that, by all means do that. I'm just saying that most people in this modern era are not there. They just don't have the drive, the time, the money to start all that. They don't have that. But what you do have is the ability to network. At least the internet still works for now. Network, get connected, and get busy. And again, a blessing from God. I have a nice cool breeze. I noticed the sun came out, and you can see it poking through the trees there. It's real pretty. So we're going to wrap this video up. I'm sure it's been a long one. I had a lot to say. But I do think that our problems stem from we're being led by satanic psychopaths that don't even acknowledge or, at worst, absolutely despise the natural order of things and believe that they can cheat death. And in their psychosis, they're going to just do the most unimaginable evils that they can every day. And the way that we can counter that is to create a positive culture, create families and communities that will outlive this horrible storm, and all the while using things like the Go Free method to do everything we can to heal the hearts and minds of those around us and to encourage more people to behave in a positive manner and be the heroes of our story. Because, well, our story needs heroes. We're in a dark time right now. So you be that hero. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful week. And I'll see you next Monday night for more Discordant Dragons. God bless.